Good evening, everyone. My name's Louise Regan. I'm chair of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Very pleased to be chairing this event this evening, which has been called by PSC on International Workers' Day, a day that recognises workers around the world. And obviously tonight we are really focusing on the situation in Palestine. What we have witnessed over the past 19 months has been horrific, and we know the impact that that has had on workers there, but also on the population and the massive assault on Gaza, but also the huge attacks across the West Bank that we have seen and are continuing. And so tonight we know that our solidarity, our international solidarity as trade unionists, as workers, is more important than ever. We have a fantastic lineup of speakers for you from Palestine, but across the trade union movement and the activist movement here in the UK, who have been at the forefront of pushing back against our government, calling for a ceasefire, but also calling for our government to take action and to stop arming Israel. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker. Her name is Suzanne Abdul Salam. She's a member of the New Union of Jerusalem, a member of the Women's Committee of the World Federation of Trade Unions. She is a social worker and the deputy mayor of an industrial town just north of Jerusalem. And we're really pleased, Suzanne, that you have been able to join us this evening from Palestine. Thank you very much. You're very welcome.
Good evening for all. Thank you for you and for inviting me to participate with this activity. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be with you in this evening. On May 1st, the world and the people of the world celebrate International Workers' Day, which has become a symbol celebrated globally in all parts of the globe in respect and appreciation for the brown hands and position of workers and their role in construction, development, stability, and prosperity. On this glorious day, we stand together to renew our pledge to those who built the world with their sweat, whose names are not written on walls, but thanks to whom every factory, schools, and hospitals walls stand. They are the workers, the beating heart of the nation and the foundation of every true renaissance. Labor Day is not just a celebration, it is a constant reminder that the struggle for social justice and human dignity is not over yet. In a time when the gap between rich and poor is widening, and when workers are besieged by the burdens of life, unemployment, and marginalization, the need for a free workers' voice, a strong union federation, and a conscious leftist movement that does not bow to money or power, but stands for bread and freedom is urgent. We are here today to say we will not allow a person to be reduced to a number or for their contribution to be measured by market value. We believe that the human being is value and that justice is not a gift, but a right to be won through struggle. As for us Palestinian, we consider it an occasion to expose violation and resist injustice, arrest, persecution, and harassment to which our hardworking and steadfast workers are subjected at the hands of the apartheid government. This day comes in the shadow of an unjust and brutal war, genocide and massacres to which our Palestinian people are subjected in all parts of the occupied Palestinian territories, especially in the Gaza Strip, where the working class suffers from deprivation, employment, cheap wages, and a painful economic reality before October 7th. As for after October 7th and the war of genocide, ethnic cleansing, forced displacement, tens of thousands of murders, and tens of thousands of wounded, and the explosion and abuse of all Palestinian workers in the occupied territories inside the Green Line, so that become prisoners of employment, hardship, and prey to poverty. As for the crimes that faced the workers of Gaza inside the Green Line in the first days of the war, They were days horrifying and brutal. Workers from all segments of society were hunted down by the extremist racist entity who killed them and dragged them through the streets. Many workers were executed by settlers. Dozens of workers were killed, hundreds were arrested and tried in prisoners. Some of them were martyred, some of them have remained unaccounted for to this day in siege, and some of them were realized and left with a disability that caused physical disability. It's injustice, hatred, and extremism. Countries that falsely claims democracy, human rights, and the right of man to live in dignity participate with the occupier in killing and genocide and providing immunity and protection to the killer. It is the world that has one balance and one standard. We are the only people in the world where there is no places for justice. It's a reality that our people live in, including our workers in all places where they are present. Their suffering has increased in light of the continued terrorism of the occupation inside Palestine through various forms, practice, and aggressive measures, including what the Palestinian economic and productive sector, despite its simplicity, has been subjected to systematic destruction with the aim of ensuring the continuation of the dispense on the enemy economy. In addition to what the Palestinian Nationality Authority is exposed to in terms of economic strangulation, theft of clearance funds, and preventing it from investing the Palestinian territories. This anniversary comes to our workers today, the vast majority of whom are forcibly employed at the time when the occupation forces continue their ongoing war of extermination against our people, which has affected trees, stones, and people. The massacres taking place in Gaza and the attacks, persecution, and assaults taking place in the West Bank by settlers are a war that has targeted all the necessities of life and closed all outlets of livelihood in the face of our people by destroying economic facilities, crossing, bulldozing lands, and striking at all necessities of life. Finally, in my name and the name of Palestine, we extend our sincere thanks to you and to all the free people and friends in the world for standing by the rights of our people. And we call on them to continue their activities in support of the right of our people to self-determination and to make every effort possible to stop the catastrophe that our people are experiencing and to have a loud voice against massacres and deliberate extermination and to work with their countries and all international bodies and combatant parties for an immediate ceasefire, and to allow the urgent entry of relief and medical materials from them, and to stop military supplies to Israel that contributed to the killing of our people. Long live the struggle of the people for liberation from colonialism. Long live the global working class. Long live and free Palestine. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. You got so much into your short space of time there. That was really informative, and I can assure you that you have our absolute solidarity here. We will continue to push our government and fight for justice for the Palestinian people and continue to do all we can to make sure that Israel is held to account for their actions. But thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mustafa Barghouti. Mustafa is a Palestinian physician, activist, and politician who serves as General Secretary of the Palestinian National Initiative and also head of the Palestinian Medical Relief Society. I have had the honor and privilege of meeting Mustafa in Palestine on a number of occasions and hearing from him about the situation. I know that what he is going to say to you is going to be very informative and empowering for you. So we are really privileged to have you here with us, Mustafa. Thank you so much for giving up your time.
Thank you, Louise, and thank you everybody for attending today. Of course, I congratulate all of you on the 1st of May, the Workers' Day. But in Palestine, we have no celebration, and we have no feasts in Palestine. The situation is so drastic. I think you are all very familiar with what's going on. The combination of three war crimes. You are following the news. You are in solidarity with our people, and we thank you for that. So you are aware of the genocide that is taking place. You are aware of the fact that Israel has thrown already more than 100,000 tons of explosives on Palestinians in Gaza, 50 kilograms of explosives for each man, woman, and child. You are aware of the fact that 10% of the people of Gaza are already killed or injured or imprisoned. It's a huge number. If you apply it to the United States of America, you would be talking about 33 million people killed or injured within the course of only 18 months. And that is combined with the constant ethnic cleansing of people. Some families in Gaza have been displaced already 16 times during the course of the last 18 months. And this is also happening in parallel with the worst kind of collective punishment, where Gaza is now subjected to starvation. Already 29 children have died because of starvation, because of this terrible siege that entered its 61st day. 61 days without a single piece of bread, 61 days without a glass of water, 61 days without a pill of medications entering Gaza. Thousands of injured people, at least 11,000 injured people in Gaza will die because of lack of medications and lack of medical material. It's the most horrifying situation. And what worries me as a medical doctor is not just the fact that people are being killed by bombardment, but also I am so worried and so injured by the fact that Gaza is now subject to biological warfare. In reality, we started to see epidemics. No less than 112,000 cases of infectious hepatitis already appeared in Gaza. We are very worried that we might see very soon an outbreak of poliomyelitis, a disease that we have eradicated 30 years ago. We're going to see epidemics of diphtheria, tetanus, measles, and other things, because Israel is not allowing vaccines to get to Gaza, because children are not able to get vaccines. You can imagine what happens to pregnant women without food, without vitamins. You can imagine what happens to elderly people, to people with disability. It's the most horrifying thing. And this is happening in the 21st century. And this is happening in front of the whole world. And this is happening while the International Court of Justice is debating and discussing the fact that Israel is committing the worst three war crimes at the same time. And this is happening after the International Criminal Court have already ruled that what Israel is doing are war crimes, and ruled that Netanyahu should be brought to the court to be tried for the war crimes he is committing. And still, the world is watching, and no real serious actions are taken to impose sanctions on this terrible regime, which has become one of the worst fascist ever regimes in the history of human beings. This is fascism, not just extremism. This is not just racism. This is fascism in the making. And while on the 17th of May, you will be commemorating the Nakba, which happened 77 years ago, displacing 70% of the Palestinian people from their land and destroying 521 communities to the ground. That commemoration will happen while we are subjected to a second much bigger Nakba. Second, much bigger catastrophe, where every community has been erased to the ground in Gaza, where Palestinians in the West Bank are subjected to the most horrifying experience. Just now, the Israeli army published maps about so many houses they will destroy and burn and bring to the ground in Nur Shams camp, in Tul Karim camps, refugee camps, and in Jenin camp. Imagine those people who were displaced in 1948, those people who did not have the chance to go back to their homes, to the towns, to the villages where they were born or their ancestors have been born. They are now evicted again with nothing but clothes on their bodies, with nothing. Everything is destroyed. They are not allowed even to get their belongings from the houses that are destroyed. So while we are watching all of that, I must say we are so shocked about the lack of reaction, not only from the world, but also from the region around us, from all the countries of the world. And that's why I'm asking you, and I hope that this will be a turning point for much more effective actions. I know you have been demonstrating constantly. I know you have organized so many marches and so many demonstrations, but we need more. If it takes even a demonstration in front of Downing Street continuous, should happen. This has to stop. This massacre has to stop. This genocide has to stop. This starvation of the people purposefully has to stop. If it takes going out now to all ports and demanding from the workers of Britain to stop dealing with any Israeli ship, with any Israeli shipment, whatever it is, this should happen. If it takes going to courts and bringing to justice any Israeli military person who is visiting Britain or plans to visit Britain, please do that. We need real pressure. Whatever you can do, whether it takes a demonstration in front of the parliament continuously, a pressure on every single member of the parliament, especially members of the ruling party, the Labour Party. They have to do something. They're not doing anything. And the government, is not doing anything. And this massacre continues. And it continues, and we are suffering. Let me bring to you the example of Mairead Maguire, a most noble woman, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, who has entered today the 40th day of a hunger strike in solidarity with Gaza, against the starvation of the people of Gaza, against this terrible genocide. We need more examples of strong actions everywhere, in Britain and outside Britain, in United Kingdom and everywhere else, in France, in Europe, in other places. We need the voice to be risen because the suffering has to stop. Every minute that passes, a new child is killed. With the passage of every minute, a new person will be killed. With the passage of every minute, a new house will be destroyed. And we have to act. That's why while I appreciate everything you have done for Palestine and for the Palestinian people, I ask you, please do more. Now is the time to do everything we can to stop this terrible genocide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. That was such a powerful contribution. And for anyone that is listening, you just have to hear those figures: 61 days without food, water, or medication. The absolute assault that has happened across Gaza. But we know it's not just Gaza. Across the West Bank, the assault is continuing. And Mustafa, your call is absolutely right. We have to do more. We have to do more. Now is not the time for us to be silent or to think we can stop. Now is the time for all of us to escalate our actions and to think about what more we can do in support of the Palestinian people. whether that be demonstrations, whether that be local actions, whether that be the boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign. We have to put more pressure on now because this is vital. So thank you so much, Mustafa, for that contribution. It was so informative. We really appreciate you giving up your time this evening, and thank you for being with us. Our next speaker is Zahar Barami, who is the chair of the Palestinian Forum of Britain. So I'm going to hand over to you, Zahar. Very pleased that you could join us this evening.
Thank you, Louise. Good evening, everyone, dear brothers, sisters, comrades, and friends. Thank you all for attending this rally organized by the Palestine Alliance in the UK, of which we, as the Palestinian Forum, are very proud to be a founding member. On behalf of myself, the Palestinian Forum in Britain, and the broader Palestinian community, I thank you for your continued support for our people in Palestine, our just cause, and our undeniable national rights. I especially welcome Dr. Mustafa Barghouthi tonight, a principled defender of these rights, a brilliant speaker, and a leader who deserves to represent all Palestinians, especially in Gaza, at a time when the official Palestinian Authority fails to defend Gaza and is preoccupied with internal politics and appeasing foreign powers, including US and Israel. Dr. Mustafa stands as a voice of integrity. Thank you, Dr. Mustafa. We here in Britain are very proud of you, as are free people everywhere who recognize your tireless efforts to defend our rights across global forums and media platforms. We also extend a warm welcome to all our guest speakers tonight. Brothers and sisters, comrades, the Palestinian Forum in Britain expresses deep gratitude to all who have marched, spoken out, and stood with Gaza and Palestine here in the UK and around the world. In the face of bombs and brutality, your voices have broken through the silence. Your actions are more than symbolic. They are a lifeline of hope and solidarity. And this is why we believe that this experience of the Palestine Alliance in Britain is the most distinguished in the solidarity movement worldwide. And we are proud of all the components of this alliance and call for copying its idea and structure to all countries worldwide. And we also call for the development of this alliance to lead a global coalition in support of Gaza and Palestine. Dear friends, what we see in Gaza today is not an isolated tragedy. It is the continuation of the Nakba, the catastrophe that began in 1948. Yet, despite this unimaginable suffering, our people remain steadfast. We Palestinians will not abandon our land, our national rights, including our right to return. Also, international law affirms our right to resist military occupation, and we will continue to do so by all legitimate means until Palestine is free. The Israeli government acts within impunity, violating international law, UN resolutions, and basic human rights. This is not only a Palestinian crisis, it is a global justice crisis. Israel's crimes are enabled by silence and support from the US, the UK, and other Western countries. But this will not last forever. Just as apartheid fell in South Africa, the world is waking up to Israel's apartheid. Dear friends, as we approach the 77th anniversary of Nakba, we must do more than remembering. We must act. Also on May Day, we honor the perseverance of the Palestinian workers under siege and occupation. Their suffering reflects the global struggle against oppression. Finally, dear friends, let us raise our voices loud and clear on Saturday, 17th of May, at the Nakba 77 National March for Palestine in London. Let us say together, we reject genocide. We reject displacement of the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine. We reject the UK government's complicity in these crimes. Your voices, dear friends, matters. Your actions count. Therefore, we call you to keep marching, keep protesting, keep resisting, support BDS, demand an end to arms sales to Israel, expose the lies of our government here in London and of Israel. With your solidarity, Palestine will rise. With justice, we will return, and Palestine will be free. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Zaha. That was a really good follow on and a real call for the need for us to do more. And it is fantastic, the coalition that we have that has organised for the past 19 months. And, you know, hopefully going forward, we will all continue to work together because all of us want justice for the Palestinian people. So thank you so much for being with us. I know you've got a busy schedule, but I really appreciate you giving up your time this evening. Our next speaker, again, is from a member of our coalition. It's Lindsay German. She's the convener of Stop the War, has been at every national demonstration, I think, has spoken regularly. Stop the War have been very active in organising against the attempts to shut down debate around what is happening. So you're very welcome, Lindsay. Thank you for being here with us this evening.
Thank you very much, Louise. And thanks to everybody who's attending this. Thanks to all the other speakers and the members of our coalition, which has been so important in building the movement, as Zahir has just talked about. And greetings from Stop the War Coalition for May Day. Today, May Day, the International Workers' Day. And what could be more important on International Workers' Day? That for us in Stop the War, there are two things that we want to campaign on this day. The first is the whole question of welfare, not warfare, that we don't want our government taking us into any more wars. The second is, of course, the cause of the Palestinians. And it's incredibly moving to hear Mustafa and to hear Suzanne about the struggles of the Palestinian people, the terrible situation that they are in, the 61 days where people are starving now, where they're subject to terrible illnesses and diseases because of the blockade by Israel, and because of, and this is equally important, the role of our government, the United States government, Donald Trump and all the others in allowing this to happen. And we should never forget that Israel would not be able to do what it does without the collusion and the complicity of Keir Starmer, of David Lammy, and of all of the government in this country. So we have a major task on our hands here. We have a situation we've been demonstrating, we've been campaigning for 19 months. It's a campaign and it's demonstrations which I think all of us feel is one of the most important things that we can do. But we know as well that all the time the government not just supports Israel, but does its best to try to discredit anybody who raises their voice for Palestine. We've had the situation with the Irish band Nakba this week, where they've been denounced all over the place by politicians, by MPs, by people who do not get up and denounce what Israel is doing, but denounce one statement that they made. What is that really about? It's about their support for the Palestinians. When we find that some of our own leaders in this movement have found themselves arrested or questioned, as some of us have been, over the way in which we've tried to organise demonstrations, then it tells you how strong the repression is to try to prevent voices for Palestine. And when you look now that the British government is introducing a new law which will stop us demonstrating anywhere near a synagogue, and trying therefore to say that our battle is with the Jewish people, tells you how nervous they are about this argument, because we don't have a quarrel with the Jewish people. We know many Jewish people come on our demonstrations. Our quarrel is with the Israeli government and the IDF and what they're doing, and all the people who support them, including the Arab rulers who've been described so well by some of the previous speakers. So those are the issues, and the most important thing for us is that we do not allow our voices to be silenced. We do not allow the question of Palestine solidarity to be ignored. We do not allow them to watch this absolutely horrific genocide in real time on our televisions and say there is nothing that we can do about it. And that is why the meeting tonight has to be a stepping stone in mobilizing for Palestine solidarity. There are two particular points I want to make. The first is on the 15th, on the actual Nakba Day, the 15th of May, there is going to be a workplace day of action. This May the 1st is a big day for trade unions. It's a day where every trade unionist thinks about what they can do to strengthen our movement and what they can do to show international solidarity. So all of us on the 15th, however small our protest is, we have to have workplace protest where we say that we are standing with the Palestinians. We are not going to put up with the way in which they're being treated. And then, of course, 2 days later, we have the Nakba memorial demonstration. But perhaps more important than practically any other year this year, because of what is happening to the Palestinians, because of Gaza, but also, as people have said, because of the West Bank, because of the absolutely appalling behavior of the Israeli government, and which it continues to do with impunity. So we are saying to people, make that 17th of May one of the biggest demonstrations that we have seen. We want everybody on the streets who can possibly be there. We want people from all across the country. We want to see Palestine flags everywhere on that demonstration, everywhere on the streets of London, because we are saying to them that we are not going to give up. We are not going to forget. They want us to forget, just as they wanted the Palestinians to forget after the first Nakba, and they didn't forget. They kept their movement going. They kept their fight for national liberation going. We have to say on the 17th of May, we are not going to forget anything. In fact, we remember absolutely everything our criminal government has done, and we are going to fight to organise until Palestine is free. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. And yes, absolutely. We need a huge demonstration, and we need to be there in force, saying that we are not going away. We are not going to be silenced. We will continue speaking out until we get justice for the Palestinian people. So thank you for being with us. Our next speaker is Ragad Al-Takriti from the Muslim Association of Britain. Again, Ragad and colleagues in Muslim Association of Britain have been at the forefront of the national demonstrations, but also fighting for justice for Palestinians. And I should just say that none of the organizations that we are talking about here tonight have started doing this since October 23. We have all been campaigning for decades for peace and for justice for the Palestinian people. But obviously this coalition has been very strong since that point, and has really driven forward the justice fight for the Palestinian people. So you're very welcome, Ragad.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you. And absolutely, this coalition has been going for so long that this just is the moment of intensifying it. First, good evening, everyone. And these are critical times. And we have just heard from Dr. Mustafa Barouthi and from Suzanne horrific accounts that confirms what we already know. And as we are approaching the 77th anniversary of the Nakba, the catastrophe that never ended, where in 1948 the Palestinians were forced from their homes at gunpoint, hundreds of villages were wiped off the map. What began as a single moment of ethnic cleansing has become a decades-long strategy of occupation, siege, and apartheid. And today in Gaza, that strategy has escalated into full-scale genocide. We are now nearing 2 months since the last drop of food, water, or aid was allowed into Rafah. 2 months of engineered starvation, not caused by natural disaster, but by deliberate human design by the hands of governments. Children are dying of dehydration while the world debates ceasefires. This is not a war, this is annihilation. And that's why this moment must be the turning point. The moment we escalate, organize, and intensify our mobilization. We must make it impossible for our institutions to look away. We must make it impossible for this government, complicit in genocide, to carry on without feeling the full weight of our collective pressure. Because this is a government that is spending more time and resources punishing those calling for justice and liberation than it is on stopping a genocide. And by clamping down on protesters, vilifying students, and introducing new restrictions on the right to demonstrate, they are trying to make us feel powerless. But let me be clear, we are far from powerless. I want every single person here to leave with a renewed commitment. 3 points. A commitment to support the students on the front lines, fighting for divestment, confronting institutions, and winning historic victories on campus. Number 2, a commitment to demand that your local council stop investing pension funds into companies complicit in illegal settlements and apartheid. 3, a commitment to organize in your own communities, to build strong local coalitions, to bring together mosques, churches, trade unions, student groups, and justice campaigns in a unified front. Because when we win for Palestine, we all win. For justice, for dignity, for liberation everywhere. And we must make the upcoming Nakba demonstration the largest this country has ever seen. The state hopes that by restricting protests, the numbers will shrink, that we will lose momentum, that we will be afraid, but we will not be silenced. So start now. Book your coaches, mobilize your communities, bring your families, neighbors, your entire network. Let's show them that our movement is only growing louder, stronger, and more unbreakable. I'll see you in central London on May 17th, because from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ragad. I always love listening to you speak. It's always so powerful. And what a call to action. You are absolutely right. We have to do all we can to build, and we are not going anywhere. We are not going to be silenced. We will continue to speak out until we get justice. So thank you very much for all you are doing in MAB, and we will continue to work together.
Thank you.
So our next speaker is Alex Gordon. He's a former RMT president, has been a long-time activist, and has always been very vocal in speaking out within the trade union movement for justice for the Palestinian people. So we are really pleased to have you with us. Thank you,
Louise. Alex. I hope you can hear me. There seems to be some slight technical problems this end, but I'll speak anyway and hope that you can hear my message. So first of all, hi, Louise. There seems to be some perhaps technical problems here, but I'm going to speak anyway, and hopefully you can hear me. First of all, May Day greetings on International Workers' Day to everyone who's watching this broadcast, this meeting tonight, and everyone who is part of the movement, the international movement, the global movement to free Palestine. As has already been said, and I'm just going to repeat quickly, we've got 2 major dates coming up which we want you to take action on in Britain. The first is our Workplace Day of Action for Palestine on Thursday, the 15th of May. That's 2 weeks from today. And we're asking all of you, wherever you work, no action is too big or too small. We've had trade union activists organize lunchtime protests at their workplaces so that people who come to work can see that the movement for Palestinian freedom is not just in the streets, it is also in the offices and schools and hospitals and factories. We've seen people organize marches from the town centers into workplaces. We've had people organize cake sales, bake sales, and we've had workplace meetings organized and discussion groups set up in workplaces to discuss the question of how we can free Palestine. wear a Palestinian badge to work, wear a keffiyeh, wear your colours. And that's on Thursday, the 15th of May. And then 2 days later, as has already been said, we have the national demonstration for Nakba 77. This is going to be a massive demonstration. Join us 12 o'clock noon at Embankment Tube Station in London. We're going to march around Parliament. We're going to end up at Downing Street outside Keir Starmer's own home, and we're going to tell him exactly what you've heard speakers say in this meeting tonight. The UK government has a responsibility to end funding and colluding with the genocide of the Palestinian people. And we have a responsibility to be there Saturday, the 17th of May, to give that clear message to David Lammy and Keir Starmer. And I want to just say, Louise, that it's sometimes important to remember why we have to say that. Some people, some trade unionists argue that workers in each country should stick to what they call bread and butter issues, that they shouldn't involve themselves in politics. This position belies and betrays the great tradition of international working class solidarity, which has been taken up by our movement, the trade union movement, in this country and internationally at many times. Yesterday, Wednesday, the 30th of April, was the 50th anniversary of the liberation of Vietnam by the Vietnamese people. And it was the Vietnamese people's leader, Ho Chi Minh, who said that the strength and perseverance of the Vietnamese originate primarily from the solidarity and support of the world's peoples. International solidarity is tremendously meaningful to us. Well, that was 50 years ago in Vietnam. Nothing could be truer today in Palestine. Those of us in the British trade union movement need to combat and get to grips with those trade unionists who argue that the working class should confine itself within its own national boundaries, should not concern itself with international politics, should not concern itself with matters that are not about wages or pensions or bread and butter issues, as it's sometimes called. That false position shades into the position that trade unions and trade unionists should only concern themselves with their members' pay and conditions, to the exclusion of all political and ethical considerations. It is a position that is totally unsustainable in this day and age. May Day, today, the 1st of May, is therefore a moment when we can raise up our collective banners, we raise up our eyes, and we assert that there is an alternative. There's an alternative to austerity, there's an alternative to war, and the alternative is the working class movement, the class which by its position in the world today can only liberate itself by liberating all the peoples of the world, including the peoples of Palestine. So I leave you with Workers of the World Unite. We have a world to win, and we have to fight for the freedom of Palestinians if we want to win our own freedom. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Alex. There was some slight connection issues, but you know, we could hear everything that you were saying, and what an important message. And you know, I completely agree with you. In the trade union movement, we have to be linked up with international solidarity, and we have to follow that principle that none of us are free until all of us are free. And that's what we have to keep fighting for. So thank you for all that you do in the trade union movement and continue to do. Thank you for a fantastic contribution. And I know you will continue to fight for justice for the Palestinian people, not only as an individual, but also within your trade union and in the trade union movement more widely. So thank you so much, Alex, for being with us. So our next speaker is Soda Badat from Friends of Al-Aqsa, another one of the coalition who has organised over the past 19 months. Soda, we're really pleased you can be with us. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Louise, for the introduction, and to the great speakers who have spoken before me today. And thank you all for joining today's online rally. What we have witnessed over the past 19 months in Gaza has been nothing short of horrifying. Over 50,000 Palestinians massacred in one of the worst genocides our generation has ever witnessed. With millions of Palestinians displaced and the civilian and healthcare infrastructure destroyed, Israel have continued to block humanitarian aid entering into Gaza, leading to catastrophic starvation. These scenes echo that of destruction caused by natural disasters. But make no mistake, this is an entirely man-made preventable situation. Israel have shown us time and time again that they have no plans in stopping their genocide on Gaza, eliminating women, children, teachers, and healthcare workers. But it goes beyond this. The situation in Gaza did not suddenly erupt 19 months ago. This is part of an ongoing catastrophe against the Palestinian people lasting 77 years. Since 1948, Israel have intensified their apartheid policies and continued their regime of ethnic cleansing through the continuous forced evictions of Palestinians from their homes, the demolition of Palestinian homes, the construction of settlements that are considered illegal under international law, and through the continuous killing of civilians, journalists, women, and children. However, in the last 19 months, we've also seen a shift. Israel is becoming increasingly isolated, and the public support for Palestine is greater than ever before. But we need to do more. We need to redouble our efforts for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And this is where the 17th of May comes in. Every year around the world, the Nakba is commemorated in mid-May. But Nakba Day is more than a day of commemoration. It is a call for action, a demand for the people in power to take action. It's for us to stand in solidarity with Palestinians in their calls for liberation and to demand the right of return for Palestinians. We know our government have played an integral role in the current genocide in Gaza, not least through the continuation of the arms sale to Israel, but it's important to note that our government have been complicit in the occupation of Palestine for over a century. It's therefore our duty that we will come together at the national demonstration on Saturday the 17th of May in London to stand in solidarity with Palestinians around the world and to demand a change. Let us not underestimate the power of mobilizing in our local communities. We need to do all we can to ensure we bring Palestine to the forefront yet again. We need to continue organizing demos and rallies in our local communities, just as we were doing over a year ago, because this is where the movement will grow. So get in touch with your local community leaders because there is strength in unity. Mobilize in your workplaces and universities. Let us demand action from those companies deeply complicit in the occupation of Palestine. We've seen some incredible work from activists from around the world in their actions against those complicit companies and institutions. We need to build on this and continue applying as much pressure as we can on them. We need to be coordinated in our efforts for BDS by committing to our boycott efforts and demanding our government to impose immediate sanctions on Israel. We cannot become despondent in our efforts, and we cannot allow the destruction and starvation of Gaza to continue. We cannot allow the occupation of Palestine to continue for any longer. So let us make a promise now to build the movement, to keep up the momentum, and to continue to speak out whenever we see anyone suffering from injustice. Let's continue to wave our flags high and proud. Let's continue to show our institutions that we will not be stopped or silenced. There are many people who want to silence us, be it our educational institutions or our government. Let us stand up to them by showing up in our hundreds and thousands on the 17th of May, showing that we will not be stopped in our solidarity. Let's make this the largest protest for Palestine the UK has ever seen. Bring your friends, your families, your neighbours. Let us show that we will not be stopped until there is an end to the genocide, an end to the occupation, and an end to the apartheid. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shilda, and such a rallying call for that demonstration. And you are right, we cannot stop now. I remember Omar Barghouti spoke at one of our events and said, we cannot be genocide weary because the Palestinian people do not have that privilege. So our job is to escalate our actions, and that is exactly what you have asked us to do so coherently. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for all Friends of Al-Aqsa continue to do, and we will continue to work together to build this movement. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is another member of the coalition. Sophie Bolt is the General Secretary of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, has spoken at many of our national demonstrations. CND banner is always there, very proudly, and we are very pleased that you are with us, Sophie. So welcome and thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Louise. That's very kind of you. So yes, solidarity greetings from the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament. As we approach the 77th year of the Nakba, the need for mass protest has never been more urgent. As Mustafa Barghouti has said, Palestinians are suffering a second catastrophe. And with Trump's total backing now for Netanyahu, the pause in Israel's horrifying slaughter has ended. Nuclear-armed Israel is again carrying out collective punishment on the entire population of Gaza. For 60 days, or 61 days now, it has stopped aid, food and medicine getting into Gaza. And this is the longest border closure the Gaza Strip has ever faced. UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, has said that 1 million children's lives are in danger because of this siege. So it's absolutely urgent and vital that we mobilise hundreds of thousands of people onto the streets on Saturday, the 17th of May, to call for an urgent end to this siege. And as we meet, Israel is yet again facing the International Court of Justice against its ban on UNRWA. And whilst country after country at the hearings are condemning Israel rightly for international breaches of law, the US is defending the ban and effectively mass starvation of Palestinian people. Backing Israel to the hilt, Trump has massively escalated attacks on the Yemen, the only country enforcing a blockade of the Red Sea to increase international pressure to stop Israel's genocide. And now Britain has joined this military offensive with the US and shamefully trying to justify it on defending the economic interests of the British people. I mean, nothing could be further from the truth. The Yemen is not a threat to us, but Israel's genocide definitely is. So we have to keep up the pressure on the British government to end its complicity. Last Saturday, CND was part of a fantastic and very effective blockade of the US airbase at Lakenheath in Suffolk, where people were taking direct action against the use of the F-35A fighter jets there and the US pilots flying those jets that are part of Israel's brutal genocide. So we really have to keep up the pressure to halt Britain's active military role in the slaughter of Palestinians, as well as its arming of Israel. So let's redouble our efforts in the struggle for peace, for freedom, for justice for the Palestinians, which is an international struggle that is central to the future of the whole of humanity. So solidarity, and I look forward very much to seeing you all on the 17th of May. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie, and thank you for everything that CND continues to do and all your commitment to fighting for justice for the Palestinian people, but also your wider work, which I know is very busy at the moment. I've been watching some of it on social media, so I know you're extremely busy. So our final speaker is Peter Leary. He is the Deputy Director of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, and I will hand over to Peter to finish us off.
Thank you very much, Louise, and thank you all for being here on this glorious May Day, certainly where I am. Every year in May, we join with our Palestinian partners to commemorate the anniversary of the start of the Nakba, the ethnic cleansing of 750,000 Palestinians and the destruction of over 500 villages, towns, and cities. We do so not simply as an exercise in historical memory or merely to make the record, but also to historicize and better understand the struggles of our present moment. Over the past 18 months, millions in this country have stood in solidarity with the Palestinian people in opposition to Israel's genocidal onslaught in Gaza and in opposition to Israel's ongoing attacks against Palestinians throughout their homeland. Many have renewed their commitment to the Palestinian struggle. Many others have encountered it for the very first time. In towns and cities across, and workplaces and colleges and communities throughout Britain, there's a growing solidarity movement, building support for boycotts, campaigning to force local authorities and universities to cut financial ties with companies that enable Israel's system of oppression, and underpinning all of this activity, the extraordinary series of national marches. But 18 months in, with Israel's genocide not merely continuing, but even escalating, with not just bombs and bullets, but horrifically starvation being used as a weapon, it would be all too easy to become demoralized. But we know that the opposite is needed. As Mustafa said at the start, we have to do more. And that is why this forthcoming march on the 17th of May is so especially important. Because when we commemorate the Nakba, we do a number of things. We reassert the truth that Israel's current violence is built on over 77 years of settler colonialism, military occupation, and the imposition of a system of apartheid. We remember Britain's culpability as the former colonial power and demand an end to British complicity in Israel's ongoing atrocities. But we also mark more than 77 years of Palestinian resilience and determination. And it is from that endurance that we must take our inspiration to carry on with our campaigning work. So that's why we've organised this rally this evening. In the week leading up to the Nakba march, we will be taking a series of actions, starting on Saturday the 10th of May with local protests in towns and cities across Britain. On Wednesday the 14th, PSC is organising a mass lobby of Parliament, taking our demands into the heart of Westminster and directly to MPs. And on Thursday the 15th, as others have mentioned, take action in your workplace. Speak to your colleagues and start making plans now. And on Saturday, the 17th of May, wherever you are, we need you to join us. So contact your local PSC branch or the other organisations that are represented here to find out about coaches from your area. To reiterate, speak to friends, speak to family, colleagues, neighbours, anyone who will listen, and make sure that they and you are on the streets on the 17th of May in huge numbers, so that we can raise the cry for a ceasefire that is permanent and complete, and an end to the barbarity that we are witnessing, and reaffirm the demands for justice, for an end to British complicity, and for freedom for the Palestinian people. I will see you there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. What a great summary to the evening. I want to thank all of our speakers. They've all been absolutely amazing. Just a few reminders. There is a PSC Trade Union webinar next week on Wednesday, the 7th of May at 6 p.m. The details are on the website. Obviously, as Peter has just reaffirmed, we've got a workplace day of action on the 15th of May. And then obviously we want a huge mobilization for the 17th of May Nakba demonstration. And please, please do consider getting along to that, but looking at what is happening in your local area, make sure you're taking up our actions. We really appreciate everyone coming tonight. Thank you for your time, and please get out, speak out about what is happening in Palestine. Do not let us be silenced. We will continue to fight for justice for the Palestinian people. Thank you so much.